Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So I'd like to seek the good wishes, blessings of devotees who've joined today. Thank you so much. It's a nice sunny day in the UK, which makes a change. And I see most people are in the park. That's fine. So when we're chanting the Mahamantra, somebody said to me the other day, you only know Krishna. That's all you know. And I said, no. I said, we know loads of bhajans. But I found it really hard to convince him. In the end, I said, okay, yeah, that's right. We only know Krishna. And this is the Mahamantra. This is the beads, rather, we chant on. Very important to chant on Tulsi beads. Oh, let me just take beads off the thing. I'm sure everybody's chanting on beads, but just in case anybody isn't, beads are very important. The reason is Tulsi is very close to the Lord. And I think tomorrow we'll talk about Tulsi Maharani, how important she is to us. And these beads are made of Tulsi. Tulsi is important to Krishna. He doesn't eat unless there's a leaf of Tulsi on his plate. So what these mala do, help us focus, help us count, help us connect with the Supreme Lord. We don't need beads, but it just it aids us get closer to the Lord. It's always nice to chant on beads. And when we chant, we avoid offenses to the holy name. The holy name is like a person. He is a person. The holy name is such a person that is more powerful than the Lord himself. Now, this is inconceivable, very hard to understand. But it is described several pastimes how the holy name of the Lord protects, even from the Lord himself. It's hard to understand that, but we must understand that the Lord is omnipotent, omnipresent. Omnipresent means he's everywhere, including in his own names. And especially, he empowers his holy names with special potency. And that's why when we chant God's names, we associate directly with God, as long as we're not offending the holy name. If we're offending the holy name, then we take a risk of not associating with the Lord and actually going a little further away from the Lord. The biggest offense, the one offense that actually is the foundation of all other offenses, it is being inattentive while we're chanting. And inattentive kindness comes essentially from not understanding that when we're chanting, God is with us, Krishna is with us, in every sense of that word. So if we chant with the mood that I am with you, my Lord, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. I'm actually with you while I'm chanting. Then we're chanting with attention, and none of these offenses will come into play. As soon as we become inattentive, we start thinking of all sorts of nonsense and behaving in all sorts of crazy ways while we're not chanting. But if we're chanting nicely, then we get protected from even of committing any offenses. So the first offense was to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their whole lives to spreading the holy names of the Lord. So we shouldn't think badly of any devotees. In fact, whenever we see a devotee, you should smile. Have that emojo, the smiling emojo. But not just outside, but inside as well. You should be very happy, feeling happy when we see devotees. And when you're feeling happy when you're seeing devotees, where's the question of offense? Right? Where's the question of blaspheming them? So that's a really easy cure. And if we have offended somebody, then the cure is easy of that offense, that we simply beg for forgiveness of the devotee. And if the devotee is a devotee, he will of course forgive. Second offense is that we consider the holy names of Brahma and Shiva to be equal or greater than the holy name of Vishnu, or Krishna. So if we're thinking that the devatas are on the same platform as Krishna, that's an offense. So Krishnas are on a different platform. And it's interesting, we're having sort of discussions about this at the moment in relation to the temple that we're hoping to set up, and how some temples are set up so that all the deities, whether they are of the Supreme Lord or the devatas, are in the same level, in the same height. Well, that's perhaps offensive, because the Lord is always at the top level, highest level, and everybody else should be situated below the Lord, the Supreme Lord. So it's not that it's in fact, from the point of the devatas, it's important, because the devatas are devotees of the Lord, and if they are placed on the same level as the Lord, they would feel offended themselves. Hey, they would be thinking, why am I on the same level as the Lord? The Lord is the Lord, and I'm his servant. So we might do things out of practice or culture, which may not be quite in line with scripture. But anyway. So if we're thinking that the devatas are on the same platform as Krishna, that's an offense. I know there may be many devotees who worship Lord Shiva. So you might ask, hey, what do you mean? Lord Shiva is a devata? And what do you mean that I can't consider him on the equal platform as Vishnu? In one sense, he is same as Vishnu. But when Lord Vishnu wants to touch this world, he transforms into Shiva, and he's slightly different category. He's known as Shiva Tattva, and Shiva Tattva is very powerful, category of his own, greater than the Jiva Tattva, but subordinate to the Vishnu Tattva, because he has now become in touch with this world. Just like yogurt, milk added, some curding agent added to milk becomes yogurt. Similarly, Vishnu add a bit of materialism, it becomes Shiva. So we have to be a little careful that if we are worshippers of Shiva from birth, I can understand it's a little hard to accept what we're saying. But these are the revealed scriptures. This is what is described. And it's not that we would want to insult Lord Shiva. He's the greatest Vaishnav. We love him. He gives shelter to those who have nowhere else to go. What sort of person is that? Extraordinary person. He doesn't care for himself. Where does he live? He lives in the forest. He lives in the graveyards. What does he wear? Ashes. Very humble. Amazing personality. But unfortunately, many people take shelter of him because he's known as Bolanath. He's easily pleased. Ashutosh, easily pleased, yeah. Sorry. Give me money, and he will give. He won't consider if it's good for you to have money or not. So it's not that we are offending Lord Shiva. Please don't think in that way. But we should understand that his position is different from Lord Vishnu's. If there's any questions on this point, please do feel free to ask. We do not mind at all. And we will not be offended. Okay, so let's move on to the third offense. This is the one where if one has a spiritual master, if we disobey his orders, that's considered to be an offense to the holy name of the Lord. Why? The spiritual master has given us the holy name. When he gives us initiation, he gives us the holy name. Of course, we can chant Hare Krishna at any time, with or without initiation. However, when the spiritual master chants the holy name into one's ear, or gives the holy name to the disciple, the potency of the name increases because it's come down the chain of spiritual master, parampara. That's why people take initiation, they take shelter of a guru. And advancement, once one takes shelter of a guru, is swift. And that advancement is due to the chanting of the holy names and serving the spiritual master. So if one blasphemes or disobeys the order of the spiritual master, then the holy name becomes upset with the disobeying of the order of his devotee. So we have to be careful. The spiritual master gives the holy name. Sampradaya Viniya Vihina Ye Mantraste Nishpala Mata. If one is not actually connected with the bona fide disciplic succession, whatever mantras he chants will not bring the desired result. The Maha Mantra is very powerful, no doubt about it. And whether one is initiated or not, it still has impact. But if one is initiated, the impact is much greater. A spiritual master always represents himself as the humblest servitor of the personality of Godhead. So this is Prabhupada writing. But the disciple must look upon him as the manifested representation of the Godhead. To envy such a person is to envy the personality of Godhead himself. So the guru is not God, but he's like God because he's giving the message of God. And he should be worshipped like God. So this is the point. The characteristics of a spiritual master. So let's have a look. He knows the science of Krishna. He can control the 6 urges. Whether a Brahman, Shudra, householder or sannyasi, he is able to liberate the living entity from cycle of birth and death. He has realized the conclusions of the scriptures and can convey them to others. He is firmly fixed in devotion, Brahmanishta, and firmly situated in spiritual life. He induces others to give up their material life and begin with spiritual life. He is an acharya, teaches by his own example. So this really reminds me of Guru Maharaj. Brahmanishta, he was so fixed, so strong. Nothing would disturb him, sway him from his devotion. How to serve the spiritual master, the do's and the don'ts. Don't step on his shadow. Regard the guru as an ordinary person. That's a really risky thing. And when you're with the guru, especially when you're in close connection, it's easy to do this, easy to regard him as an ordinary person. But we have to be careful. Krishna has sent him to the disciple as his eternal spiritual master, and he should always be worshipped as a dear servant of the Lord. Disrespect the articles used by the spiritual master, like his seat, his bed, shoes, vehicle, bath water, etc. So this is quite interesting. So often you will see, especially if you go to Vrindavan, you will see Srila Prabhupada's different items that he used to use. His toothbrush, his shaver, his so many different things, towels and dhotis and this and that, cooking utensils. And they're in a museum. They're worshipped or looked after at least because they belong to the spiritual master. They become sacred items. Worship another person in his presence. Give diksha while he's alive. That's not regarded to be a good thing, unless he gives permission, of course. Try to impress others with one's spiritual knowledge in his presence. So one shouldn't try to show off because showing off usually means there's a lot of ego involved, and there should be no ego in front of the spiritual master. He destroys the ego automatically anyway, but rather than him destroy it, just better not try to control the spiritual master. Okay, what should one do? So we've been through the don'ts, now the do's. Spiritual master should always be worshipped before one starts to worship Krishna. So when we do Aarti, we first offer whatever we're going to offer to the Lord, first to Guru, and then to Prabhupada, and then the Guru Parampara, Gaunitai, and then we offer to Krishna on their behalf. He should be offered a nice seat, shoes, foot bathing, clothes, etc. Then with his permission, the deity of Radha and Krishna can be worshipped. So because the worship is going through him, we are asking him, we're begging him, please, my dear Guru Maharaj, offer this on our behalf to Krishna. Food should be first offered to the deities and then to the spiritual master. Whenever and wherever one sees his spiritual master, he should offer his obeisances, prostrated to him with prayers. The prayers, what are they? Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Krishna Das Swami Ti Namine. Or if you're offering prayers to Prabhupada, Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Ti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Very simple. The Guru's name must be uttered with great reverence. His orders are never to be disobeyed. Always be eager to honor his remnants. So when he finishes prasad, he may leave something if he's kind. Those remnants are regarded as very powerful and potent. Normally when you eat somebody's food, it's considered juta or unclean, but not the spiritual masters. That's considered pure and mahaprasad, mahaprasad. Very special prasad. Do not say anything that is displeasing to him. Fall humbly at his feet and beg shelter from him. So whether the Guru is here or not, this is something that we do every day. Because he's the eternal spiritual master. He's always looking over us. Whether he's back in the spiritual world with Krishna or not, he's always looking after us. So we have to have that faith and treat him in that way. How and why does the third offense appear? The best is to concentrate on the lectures, spiritual instructions, and not on the spiritual master's physical appearance. So yeah, we shouldn't see the body of the spiritual master or his caste or his varna, whether he's married or not. His physical appearance is beside the point. It's the instructions that are important and the lectures.
And this also applies because your spiritual master is not in this material world. That is even more appropriate because you concentrate on his vani, not his vapu, because his vapu form is not there.
Very good. And why does this offense appear? Because we might look at the physical appearance of the spiritual master. You know, he's not well. He's going through some challenges. But actually, those are Krishna's love bites. They are not the spiritual master's karma. In fact, the spiritual master, disciples' karma, yeah. Generally, it's the disciple who gives the karma to the spiritual master when they take initiation. But one should be understanding that the spiritual master is always under the protection of the Supreme Lord. Any physical disability or difficulty he may be going through, that's simply between him and Krishna, not of our concern. Although we do try to help, of course, wherever we can. Of course, if we think we're helping our spiritual master, that's also an illusion, because he's helping us to serve him. A disciple should actively seek his pleasure instead of remaining neutral. We often see this. We often saw this when the spiritual master was present. Many disciples, his disciples wouldn't come. Our God brothers, God sisters wouldn't come to see him. It's really sad. It was heartbreaking, actually, because he cared so much. And yet there was no physical contact. No contact sometimes. It's a real shame. Otherwise, he runs the risk of displeasing him by his complacency and inattention. And the spiritual master always knows. I remember, we were quite close to spiritual Guru Maharaj, and perhaps in a week, if I didn't ring him once, he'd know straight away. And he'd ask me, why didn't you ring me last week? Oh, sorry, Maharaj. Shastric examples of offenses committed by a disciple to his guru. Indra insults Brihaspati. Does anybody remember this pastime? We did go through it in the Bhagavatam. Is anybody awake? Is anybody with us?
Yes,
Prabhu, yeah. Sitaram.
Yes, Prabhu.
What happened?
Indraji, he was he insulted Brihaspati by disrespecting his instructions, and he was just blaspheming him.
Was it blaspheming, or did he ignore him? Didn't he? You remember?
When Brihaspati came, he didn't offer him.
And yeah.
Yes.
That's
And
right.
then he was just escaping because he had committed such a great offense.
That's
He went, I think so, honored for it.
Yeah.
He broke himself in somewhere which is not in my mind now.
Yeah, he hid himself. The guru wouldn't be, Indra couldn't see him.
In water somewhere, he got booked himself. So as Brihaspati Maharaj wanted to find him, but he was unable to find him.
Yeah.
Right.
That's right. And then the devatas were defeated by the demons. And then they went to Vishwarup to perform Narayan Kavach.
Yes, Sadhu.
Yeah. There's a whole history of what happened. Anybody remember this one? Ramachandra Puri offending Mahatavendra Puri. Anybody remember this pastime at all? We haven't done it. Anybody know this one? No.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Nitai.
Surendra, Hare Krishna.
Yes, I remember these pastimes. Madhavendra Puri was about to pass away, almost like in his deathbed.
Yes.
And then Madhavendra Puri, he's feeling separation from Radha Krishna.
Yeah.
And he's shedding tears, etc. And then Ramachandra Puri, he said, "Oh, you should not cry. Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma. We are spirit soul. Wow. Like that, he tried to teach his own guru, Madhavendra Puri, and like that. But on contrary, Ishvara Puri, he
Yeah.
did his menial service to Madhavendra Puri while he was about to pass away. And Madhavendra Puri was very pleased with the service of Ishvara Puri, who was a very pure devotee.
Good.
Whereas Ramachandra Puri was very offensive. Anyhow,
And then
Hare
what happened? What happened to his behavior later on? Ramachandra Puri, do you remember that
Yeah, he
offense?
was also finding some fault
Yeah,
from Gauranga Mahaprabhu.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like, oh, there are some ants in this room, so you must have eaten some sweets, lassi, and then you are eating sweets. So he was like that, very much offensive. That was
Yeah.
Gauranga Mahaprabhu as well.
Yeah.
And whenever he was present, the devotees were having great headache because he was fault finding towards Gauranga Mahaprabhu. Yeah, so the devotees were having headache because of him.
Yeah. That's it. That's it.
Anyhow,
Yeah.
all grace of Sri Guru and Gauranga.
Thank
Thank
you so much. Yeah. Thank you for
you, Nitai Guru Hari Bol.
very nice. Very good. Very good. And this behavior, when you're offensive to the guru, it leads to disaster. Disaster. Like in Ramachandra Puri, he even found fault with the Lord. So if we find faults with devotees, if we find faults with guru, we're going to find fault with Krishna. So what happens if one commits an offense? He should beg forgiveness. And there's lots of examples of this. Lots and lots of examples, if I can get there. Okay. Ah, yeah, that's right. Anybody remember this pastime? Uddhav, remember this pastime?
Not exactly, Prabhuji. This I've heard it, but I can't remember the details.
Ambarish Maharaj.
Right.
Go on. Now you remember?
Yes, so he offended, not all the details, but yes, he did offend Amrish Maharaj in some way. And then he had to beg forgiveness from Amrish Maharaj himself for the Sudarsana chakra to be stopped.
Yeah, that's right. That's a good summary. We're going to do that in the 9th canto, I think. Yeah, good. What about this one? Anybody remember? Uddhav, are you there still?
Yeah. Yeah. So this one, Lord Brahma got a doubt that whether the small little boy Krishna is really God or not. So let me test him. So he he went and stole all the boys and cowherd friends of Krishna to see how he reacts.
Yeah.
As a test. So, and that was an offense. So obviously Krishna didn't get affected, and he produced all of them. He created carbon copies of all the boys and cows. So there was no impact as such. But Brahma realized his mistake, and then he came and begged for forgiveness.
Yes. Carbon copy means the same, right? Exactly the same.
Yeah.
But the behavior of Krishna in the cowherd boys, when he expanded himself, wasn't the same.
Right.
It was he would behave according to the mothers or the cows, depending on the calf as well. So it was like the mothers felt greater affection towards that cow who was Krishna.
Right.
And you know this pastime, right? You know that.
Correct. Yeah.
Very good. And even Balaram was watching, and for a whole year he was seeing, how come the cows are having so much love for the calves? Yeah. And then he was just wondering what's going on. And then he asked Krishna, what's going on? And then Krishna revealed to him, you know. That's such an amazing relationship, Krishna and Balaram. Okay, what about this one? Daksha becomes puffed up.
He offended Lord Shiva, right?
Yeah, good. Good. Do you remember how?
He didn't invite him for some yajna that he was conducting, I think. And then even after that, I think Mother Parvati went there uninvited, and
Sati Devi,
Sati Devi, yeah, right.
That's
Then
right.
even she felt that Lord Shiva was not being respected. So again, I am.
Yeah. Just before that, Lord Shiva was seated with Lord Brahma in the heavens, and Daksha walked in. And Daksha was, you know, the relationship between Daksha and Shiva?
Yeah, their father-in-law and son-in-law.
That's it. So he was expecting Shiva to stand up and respect him. But Shiva just, he's a higher category, you know. He doesn't have to do anything. So Daksha got very, very angry at that time. He started insulting Lord Shiva, and Shiva was amazing. He just walked out. Said, no problem, let him insult, but I don't want him to insult too much because he'll really get into trouble. So he walked out. But Shiva's followers gave them a beating. Oh, no, it wasn't a beating. He was just cursing at that time. They were just cursing each other. And then the beating happened at Yagya. Yeah. And this one, another one.
The Govardhan Leela?
Yeah. Yeah. Good. And this is quite extraordinary Leela because Krishna wouldn't actually forgive him. You know that? He wouldn't forgive him.
Really?
Yeah. He said, you would try to kill Brijvasis. You kill my own people. These are my people. Why should I forgive you? But Indra was quite smart. He brought Surabhi, Gaumata, and he pleaded to Gaumata, you plead on my behalf. And she went to Krishna and said, he's foolish. Please just forgive him. And Krishna forgave him. So Gaumata, you can see Gaumata's position in all this. Very, very powerful.
Right. I didn't know this.
Yeah. Extraordinary. And Gaumata called him Govinda. Yeah, gave him the name of Govinda. Protector of the cows. Yeah. Prayers of the Nagapatnis. What about this one? You remember?
Is this the Kalia snakes?
Yeah.
Wives?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Wonderful prayers. Good. Indra surrendering to Krishna.
That's the
Surabhi cowherd. Same one, yeah. That's the third offense. And this will take a little time. Will it take time? It will take time. Any questions? Any comments? Anybody? Anything you'd like to share about how is your? Yes, go on. Uddhav, you want to say?
No, I wasn't saying anything.
Okay. Anybody like to share? How is your chanting? Okay, let's start with you, Uddhav. How's your chanting going? I'll stop the recording now.